Let's go for a drive. The chairman of Birmingham Water Committee once quoted that there had been yet another outbreak of smallpox and diarrhoea in the city, and that clean water must be obtained. Birmingham's population was 725,000 in 1890, and the demand for water had doubled to 16.5 million gallons per day in 1891. So in 1892 a parliamentary bill passed giving the corporation of the City of Birmingham the rights to gain waters from the rivers Elan and Claerwen in Wales. 71 square miles of land would be purchased for this project. I'm now passing through the Elan Village, which housed the workers. Work started here in 1893 and the village was originally all constructed of wood, but these wooden buildings would later be rebuilt in stone by 1909. Being made of wood, the village was victim to many fires and so did benefit from its own fire brigade in 1896. The water for the village was piped from the small Penygarreg Dam, which was built for this purpose. In 1942 that same dam would be blown up by the training RAF using a bouncing bomb. I'm now going to pass over the River Elan via the Baily Bridge. Alongside and on the left is the suspension bridge, which is the third bridge to be condemned. The road to my left leads to the visitor centre and the lowest of the dams, Caban Coch. So what I'll do is at the end of this video I'll add some photos of that suspension bridge so you can see it in a bit more detail. Now on the left here would have been a couple of railway track beds for the construction trains in the making of the Elan Valley dams. Now they're doing some work up here by the look of it. They've got quite a big crane out. Now there's like a couple of filter beds I think here on the right hand side, and below that there's like a weir going into the River Elan. So whether there's water that's filtered before it goes into the River Elan, and that's what they're doing now, I'm not sure. So we come to the end of this road now and we're going to turn left, and as we turn left, track beds of railway line number 1 and 2 are actually still visible. So we're going to turn left here now, heading towards Caban Coch Dam, and on our right are the filter beds. On our right is the water filter beds, which weren't originally planned, but they found a vegetable organism, iron oxidizing bacteria I think, that although wasn't dangerous to human health, it would develop very quickly in pipes made of iron, and thus had to be removed before being sent down the 73-mile iron pipework to Franklin Reservoir in Birmingham. The bacteria can cause a slimy mass within the pipework, and clearly that wasn't going to be acceptable. So just past this building on the left, and immediately there is the entrance to those filter beds. So we're now climbing up and becoming level with the Caban Coch Dam. Over there on the far left on that hillside is actually a small explosives building which used to be used to store the explosives when building the dams. It's hidden there in the trees. And down there at the bottom you can just see the visitor centre. And there we are, there's Caban Coch Dam in the distance. Now Caban Coch Dam is the first of the 4 dams and also the lowest on the River Elan. It's 122 foot high and 566 foot wide with a 35,530 megalitre capacity. This dam also controls the downstream compensation water to the rivers Elan and Wye. On the right is Gigfran Quarry, which later supplied the stone for the Elan Village. We are just passing Caban Coch Dam and on our way to Garreg-ddu, the submerged dam. We now pass over a very small little bridge. There it is, and that's obviously water entering the reservoir, and being careful of the sheep. Plenty of sheep around the Elan Valley. And then once we're safely past the sheep, on the far left, out of camera shot, is the Pennygarreg Dam that was blown up, as mentioned earlier, by the Royal Air Force. Also on the left at the time of construction, before the flooding of the reservoir, was the mason's yard with its massive steam crane helping with the moving of those huge stones in the construction of the dams. I also believe a church was down there. There is also a lovely scenic path to the left and lower than this road, which you can use to walk or cycle along, perfect for a quiet evening stroll while admiring the stunning views to be enjoyed here in the Elan Valley. And to the northwest of where we're driving at the moment is the River Claerwen, which leads to the largest of the 6 dams, which we will visit later on. Sort of 5 operational dams, 6 if you include the unfinished dam. So we're now heading around the corner here, and we should nearly be able to see Garreg-ddu Dam. And this is partly submerged, so it somewhat looks like a bridge, but there is actually a submerged dam underneath, which you can see. I might add some photos of that as well to the end of this video. It has been visible a couple of times, and lucky enough managed to get some photos of that. There we can now see the copper dome of the Voyle Tower next to Garreg-ddu Dam. This tower is the start of the journey for the water to Birmingham. First it travels about a mile from the tower to the filter beds. As you can see on the left, you can actually drive over Garreg-ddu Dam, which will lead you then on to the Claerwen. But we're going to carry on this road at the moment, and on the left was Cwm Elin, a rather large and imposing residence of some stature that sadly succumbed to the rising waters that were to be. The mansion was purchased by Thomas Grove in 1792. He was a Wiltshire gentleman and was the uncle to the famous poet Shelley. Percy Shelley was born in 1792 in Sussex and saw himself as a bit of a revolutionary reformer, and was called Mad Shelley by his schoolmates for his unrealistic views. Before I forget, just along here is the entrance there on the right to a very nice picnic place. You can just go up the top there onto the hill. You also find one of those military pillboxes up there that was built in World War II to protect the Voyle Tower. Anyway, where was I? So Shelley went to Oxford University in 1810 and was engaged to Harriet Grove, a relative to the Thomas Grove of Cwm Elin estate. Things took a turn for the worse, and he was expelled from Oxford for his writings against religious beliefs. His engagement to Harriet also came to an end. When he was 19, he was invited by his uncle to stay at Cwm Elin, which he did. I believe he walked there from Sussex on foot, which, if true, is quite impressive. I forgot to mention that inside the Voyle Tower houses some hydraulic valves to control the flow of water entering the water tunnel. There is also a spiral staircase leading down to where the water enters that tunnel to the filter beds. It's important to note that the water isn't pumped to Birmingham, but is gravity fed due to the Voyle Tower being 52 metres above Frankley Reservoir. It has to be drawn off at this point, as Caban Coch Dam is only 30 metres above Frankley, which isn't enough height for gravity to work effectively. Must mention that we just passed a footpath back there, and if you're feeling very energetic, it leads up to one of the old quarries, which is quite nice, but it is pretty steep for a walk. So we just go over this stream now, where you can actually park the car. Quite a nice spot, that. Sit and have a read of a newspaper or something, and a cup of tea. So to our right here is an extremely steep and near vertical part of the Elan Valley. As you'll see as we go around this corner now, straight ahead there gives you some sort of idea just how steep this part of the valley is. So we're not too far now from Penygarreg Dam. As we approach this part, if you look straight ahead there and to the right, that is the old track bed for railway number 4, and that would have gone off up to Caban-Coch Dam, which we'll be coming to later on. So as we pass here, the reservoir gets to quite a narrow point, and then we'll be going left over what would be the new bridge. Now this next dam, which is the third on the stretch of the River Elan, is Penygarreg. This dam is sometimes open to visitors and gives people a lovely chance to walk inside along the access tunnel to the central tower. The capacity of Penygarreg is 6,055 megalitres. If you look closely, you'll be able to see little openings in the dam wall that allows light into the service tunnel. Above the openings are protective sills to ensure the overflowing waters don't re-enter the inside of the dam. So this is the new bridge, which we'll go over, and Penygarreg is to our right now. But we're going to pop round here. We're going to do a little bit of a loop. And there's somebody there going to wave. I think he saw the camera on the car. And that's a lovely walk straight ahead there. You can park your car there and walk just down there on your left. Some really beautiful walks around this area. And just on our left there was Penbont House, which is like a tea room. Now you can see Penygarreg now, just up here to the right. Forestry Commission have been busy there cutting down timber. So there we are, we can see the copper dome on the central part of this dam, and it's in full flood at the moment. You can actually see the water going past those little openings. And there we are, and you can park the car there and stand and admire the view. So okay, so we're now going to carry on now to the final dam, which is Caban-Coch. On the other side of this Penygarreg reservoir, where number 4 railway ran, which incidentally you can walk along, was a part nicknamed Devil's Gulch. I believe this was a bit of a challenge to blast through and held up construction by about 3 months. The last time I tried to walk this, it was actually fenced off due to part of the rock falling down the steep sides and blocking the path. So the challenge of Devil's Gulch lives on to this very day, it would seem. Luckily no one was walking past at the time. I will include a photo of this at the end of the video. So still driving along here. There is a small car park up here on the left, which again you can park in and enjoy the walks through the forest. I think it's just coming up here and around this corner and along this part. There it is. I knew it was along here somewhere. Just there on the left. Again, a nice spot to park your car and have a walk. So we'll carry on round here now, and we're going to cross over this stream and a small bridge. And here's the little bridge. There's a farm there on the left. So the reservoir is still on our right. Now there's like an island in this reservoir, which can be quite interesting because when the water is low, people have actually written sort of names and messages around this little island using stones. So quite amusing that. So we're not far now from the last dam on this section. Again, if you look there to the northeast, you can see that those cliffs there are quite sheer. Not easy to walk up those. So you should be able to just see Caereg Goch in the far distance there. Again with its copper roof. About 2.5 miles to our left, as a crow flies, you'd actually come across the Claerwen Reservoir, which is the big one, which we'll have a look at later. So there is Caereg Goch, and it's the highest dam in this series at 317 metres above sea level. This being the furthest of the other 4 dams meant it was the last to be started, some 3 years after Caban Coch was started. Devil's Gulch didn't aid in the time schedule either. It's a very attractive dam, complete with a narrow roadway across the top. So we're just going to go over another small little bridge with a stream underneath. And around this corner we should get a much better view now of this dam. He says. There it is, with its beautiful arches. So we'll drive across this now. Now it is very narrow, so you do sort of need to make sure nobody's coming in the other direction. I don't think I'd want to reverse back if I could help it. So here we are. On the other side of this dam as well is some public conveniences, which might be handy since you're quite a long way away from Reservoir. And there's the valve tower. Just to the left here, and along the edge of the reservoir, is actually a bothy called Penbont House, which you can actually stay in overnight. It was once a ruin, and they did it up. I can add some photos of that as well to the end of this video. So we're going to go back now, and we're going to go over the submerged dam and follow on to the Claerwen. So I might speed this up once we're over this dam. So if you were to turn right at the end of this dam, 8 miles away is the town of Reservoir. But we're going to go left, back the way we came. So I'll now speed this part up. So you will see the island now. There it is. Straight in front is that island I was talking about earlier on. Talking of Reservoir, it's the first town on the River Wye, being only 20 miles from the source of the Wye. The River Wye just so happens to be one of the cleanest rivers in Britain, and many of its tributaries are classed as special scientific interest sites. The river is home to much wildlife, such as salmon, lampreys, trout and grayling. You will see water voles and otters as well. So going back over that stream again, and there we can see Penygarreg Dam again. So as we approach that, we'll go back into real time so that we can view it properly from the opposite direction. Now you can see just how steep those cliffs are straight ahead. Almost a sheer drop. So there we are, past the parking space, and we're going to go back past Penbont House. So I'll slow down just here at Penbont House. That's the entrance. So there's plenty of parking at the bottom here, just on the left. Like I say, a lovely walk there, just opposite now on the right as we go around this corner. So back round, and we go over the new bridge. So I'll speed back up again. Before I do though, just mention there's some parking there on the left, which you can walk up to Penygarreg Dam. And please note, this phone box doesn't work. So that track 4 railway line would have been on our left now. And up here on the right you'll see the gate, which is actually part of the traffic free cycle route. Just there on the right now. So I'll speed back up again. So the house over there, the white one, is actually on like a footpath that goes to the disused mines on that side of the valley. And look, somebody's parked their car here to enjoy that waterfall. So off we go again. So off we go in high speed. And I'll slow down again when we get to the entrance of that picnic area, which goes up to the top of that hill that you can just see there in the distance at the moment. And that's where the pillbox is. So I'll just slow down now, and there's the entrance. Right then, so we're back at the Royal Tower now basically. So it's just down this hill, and then we'll see the tower. So there's the Royal Tower, and also the part submerged dam of Garreg-ddu, which we're now going to go right over onto the other side. So we're now onto the dam, and you can park on the other side of this dam, and you can probably see the cars there just on the right hand side. And there's a little church there as well. There's a story to that church. The church is called Nant Goitlet, and it was built to originally replace the one that was submerged as the Reservoir filled. The people of the two valleys would come to worship every Sunday in that church, and I read that the parson had to travel by horse from Reservoir. There was also a school not far from the original church that was also lost to the rising waters. As we follow this road that ultimately ends at the largest of the dams, the Claerwen, we pass the manor house that was Nant Goitlet. This was a very imposing and grand property that the poet Shelley was wishing to acquire with Harriet, to whom he was engaged at the time, that being in 1812. When the waters are low, the garden wall and some of the other artefacts become visible. I did do a short video at this spot when there was a heat wave in 2018 and the waters were low. And just here on the left is where the entrance to that house was. So if we carry on now and we go through this beautiful corridor of trees, and we will come to the unfinished dam, which was called Dolymynach, and it's just along here, just there on the left now. And the reason this was unfinished was that originally the Elan Valley had been planned with 3 dams in mind, but the 2 world wars put a stop to all the building works from taking place. When the wars were over and the dams could be re-looked at, it was decided that advance in engineering were high enough that one big dam could be constructed instead. If you actually turn left just here where the phone box is, you will be able to take a walk and actually view the Dolymynach Dam, which is the unfinished dam, and also if you carry on it can actually take you all the way back to Caban Coch Dam, which is the first dam down by the visitor centre. But But anyway, carrying on to the Claerwen. This dam would be made from concrete, and its visual image improved with stone dressing. The construction would take 6 years, starting in September 1946, and over 100 Italian stonemasons were brought over to work on the project, because of the labour shortfall caused by the 2 world wars. Also, this dam wouldn't rely on railway tracks being laid, as materials would be transported by road instead. Nearly 500 men were employed in the construction of the dam, and ironically this dam would hold almost the same capacity of all the other reservoirs put together. Before the Claerwen was built, the Elan Valley could supply 79 million gallons of water to Birmingham a day, and this figure could nearly double with the Claerwen now being built. So as you can see, the Claerwen is pretty remote. Now, just as we go past these trees, you've got a little parking spot on the left, and this road then splits. Now you can either go straight on to the base of the dam, or you can turn right and go to the top of the dam. So if we carry on for the moment, and this will now bring us to the base of the dam. And as we turn this corner, and there is the Claerwen rising out of the Welsh hillside. There's also a farm out here, as you can see just over there on the left, which is pretty remote. I should imagine you become somewhat isolated in winter being this far out. And there's plenty of parking here on the left. I think a lot of this was built for when Queen Elizabeth II opened the dam officially, because there's quite a bit of fanfare going on down here. So you've got public conveniences on the right just there, which is a good job considering how remote you are. And if I just turn here, you can then look up to the face of the dam. Now I'll turn round and we'll go back to where the road just split. So we're going to hyperdrive and speed back along here. On the other side there's actually a byway that you can cycle along, or a lot of people in 4x4s like to test their vehicles along there. It's quite a rough track, that is. You can just see it there. So a sharp left up here, and if you're scared of heights, look away, because it is quite a sheer drop to the left. I don't particularly enjoy driving up this. I tend to try and stick to the right. And we've got somebody actually turning round as we speak. Hopefully he'll stay there, which is kind of him, so we can just pass with ease. Okay, so we're nearly at the top now. You can sort of see the scale of this once you're at the top. So considerably bigger than the other dams on the Elan Valley. So plenty of parking up here on the right, and you can also carry on driving round this dam if you've got a vehicle that will do it, because there is actually a couple of houses right out there in front, and that will take you all the way round to the Tiffy Pools, which is near Tregaron, not far from Tregaron. So as you can see, we can drive over the Claerwen. So there's some really stunning views to be had from this height. And thankfully it's easy enough to turn around up here as well. Yeah, so like I say, if you carried on around the Claerwen, you would come out at the Teffy Pools, though technically you're not allowed to actually drive all the way across. There is like a mile that you're not technically allowed to drive across, so in theory you should have to go all the way around by road to the other side, but a lot of 4x4s do venture all the way, and like I said, they then come out at the Teffy Pools. I've done that on a bike, which is quite nice, and there's a bothy at the other end as well. So back down again now, and we're heading now towards the visitor centre. So as I mentioned earlier, the Claerwen was opened by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II on the 23rd of October 1952 as one of her first appointments, being newly crowned. So some statistics on the dam are: it's 56 metres high and 355 metres long, and holds over an impressive 10 million gallons of water. And also worth noting is that the Claerwen is about 4.5 miles from the submerged Garreg-ddu Dam, which might be worth noting as it's a bit further off the beaten track of the other dams. So we'll soon be passing the right hand turn off, which would take you down to the Dolymynach Dam itself. So it's just up here, around this corner, and you can park on the left just there and go down to your right there. Now I'll slow down here because there is a small reservoir here, the Dolymynach Reservoir, there you go, on the right hand side. And it's also worth noting that on the right here is actually the start of the tunnel, the water feed tunnel, that sends the water over to the reservoir of Garreg-ddu, which is, and it then comes out opposite the Voile Tower. So I'll speed back up again now. So we'll soon be going through our corridor of trees now, and on the right will be the entrance to the Nant Goitlet Manor House, the one that was knocked down. So it was just down there on the right hand side. So we go around here and across the stream, and then speed up to Garreg-ddu. So off we zoom again, and back to Garreg-ddu. Now as you actually go across Garreg-ddu, the dam, if you actually look straight ahead and up onto the hill, that is where the pillbox is, where the military would have sat in there guarding over the Voile Tower. So just as we turn right here, actually mentioning on the left, that's where the water comes out from the water feed tunnel. It's just to our left now, and sometimes you can see that gurgling away. So immediately in front and up is the pillbox. Right, so we're going to turn right now and head back to Caban Coch Dam and the visitor centre. So on our way back now, we should be able to see the dam that was blown up by the RAF, the Penygarreg Dam. And there it is, immediately in front and on that hill. Just between the two of those hills. It's just on our left now, going out of picture now. So off we go again. So on our right down there, just below us, is the cycleway and footpath, which is alongside the Caban Coch Dam. Now we're just coming up to Caban Coch Dam, as you can see there. I'll slow down just as we go past. So the quarry is on the left, as you can see. And just passing the last dam now, or the first dam as I should say. Okay, off to the visitor centre now. Mind, just before the visitor centre, I suppose I ought to just slow down to show the water filter beds, which we can just see coming up now on the left. There we are. So just in there are all the beds, as you can see. Okay, now onto the visitor centre. So we shoot back down this hill, which was probably one of the train track beds. Sharp right here. Off we go past the crane and the men working away. And the suspension bridge is on the left. And if we carry on, we then come to the visitor centre. Okay, 10 mile an hour maximum speed. And you will see straight away the Caban Coch Dam. And there it is. So I'll just drive round here. There's plenty of parking down here, and there is a very nice cafe in there as well. It does get quite busy in the summer though, so you can just go left there and actually walk straight down to the Caban Coch Dam and see the generators and everything. So anyway, I'm going to go back now and go across the Baily Bridge and back to the Elan Village. And there we go, across the Baily Bridge, clackety clack, all those metal plates. On the right there was a hospital for the workers' village, which I don't think is there now. So back in the Elan Village, and I do hope you've enjoyed this, and many apologies for my terrible Welsh pronunciations. I did try, but I think I have failed miserably in the pronunciations, so I'm sorry about that. So hopefully no offence for any Welsh people. And what I'll do now is also add a good selection of photographs that I've taken over the years of some of the more interesting points that can be seen in the Elan Valley. Photographs to accompany the drive. So I'll start the slideshow with the bridge that I crossed over originally, which was the Baily Bridge, and next to that is the old suspension bridge as pictured here. And here you can see the water filter beds and the road that leads to Raider. And a wide angle shot here showing the Elan Village with Raider in the distance. And this is the filter beds, and in the far distance over there is a small explosives hut, which was like a storeroom for the explosives. And here we can see Gigfran Quarry, and above Gigfran Quarry and in the distance a Handley Page Halifax bomber crashed in 1944. Here's one of me on a nice hot day enjoying the cycleways and with Caban Coch in the background. There you can see the visitor centre down at the bottom, and another one here of Caban Coch. Us standing on the bridge in front of it. Here you can see the remains of Pennygarreg Dam after the RAF tested their bomb on it. And here's some of the iron pipework that leads from that dam back to the Elan Village. Here you can see Garreg-ddu, the submerged dam. And here's the Voile Tower, which is the start of the water on its way to the filter beds. Here you can see the Voile Tower and also where Dolymynach House used to stand. And here's the water actually entering the Garreg-ddu Reservoir. And this is a pillbox that's above Garreg-ddu. That's when the trees were all cut back, and now the trees have all grown again, so it now looks like this. And here's the disused lead mines of Caban, and we have another look at that from slightly overhead from the nearby hill. And then we'll take a closer look at those two houses. Here I'm high above Garreg-ddu Reservoir, up that steep path I mentioned earlier, and we can look down there and we can see the White House there, and also the footpath that leads to Caban lead mines. This is New Road Bridge, and that is the footpath that leads past the White House onto Caban lead mines and also Caban House. And here's my wife standing by Penygarreg Dam. So this is the dam that you can walk through, and there's the portals. So those are what let light into the tunnel or the passageway inside the dam. And you can also see the stones on the front of the dam, and they're there so that the wooden sort of scaffolding could be put up while they built the dam. That allowed for the train track to go across the front. And here's inside the dam, and looking through one of those portals. And here's Penygarreg at low water, with railway number 4 in the background. Now this is Devil's Gulch, which was the troublesome part they had to try and get through. And the trouble carries on, as you'll see in the next photo, as they actually had like a landslip, and some of that stone actually came down onto the footpath, which was railway number 4. Pretty big pieces of stone there. Here's the island where some people have written their messages and names. That was obviously during a drought. And this steep path to the left leads to the explosive store, which obviously they kept way away from the dam itself while they were building it. Didn't want that going off. Here's a close-up of some of those messages and people's names. Now in the next picture you can actually see the bothy right there in the background where those trees are. There's 2 trees by that bothy. So this is Claerwen Coch Dam. Again, you can drive over this one. So this is the back of Claerwen Coch Dam. And here's the bothy before it was actually done up. As you can see, it was in a very poor state of disrepair. And now thankfully it looks like this. So if you fancy staying in this overnight, maybe on a cold winter's day, you could light the fire and keep yourself warm. Certainly keep you safe from the elements. So here's Garreg-ddu with very low water, and the dam is actually just starting to show. And here's Nant Goitlet Church on the end of Garreg-ddu Dam. And this is the site of Nant Goitlet House, and I believe those are the garden walls you can see. Another angle of those garden walls looking towards the woodyard. Now this is Dolymynach Dam, which is the unfinished dam. And as you can see, it looks pretty unfinished. But it does serve a purpose of allowing the water down the tunnel to Garreg-ddu. So here it is in full flood, and here we are at low water. That was 2018. Pretty dry year, that one. And here's the phone box. If you turn left, it will take you to Dolymynach unfinished dam. And there is part of the old trap bed there. Now this gives you an idea just how remote the Claerwen is. It's pretty bleak out here. And there is the Claerwen Dam from the byway, which is on the other side. And the Claerwen again there. This was on a cold February morning. And looking away from the dam towards the cold hills. And this is the back of the Claerwen. And the back of the Claerwen again, 2018, when the water was getting quite low. And this is the byway that leads around the outside of the Claerwen over towards the Teffy Pools. And there you can see Claerwen in the distance. And like I said, you can drive around this to the end. And this is basically the end of the Claerwen. But at this point here, you must stop and technically turn around and go back. Some people do carry on across this, which will bring you out at the Teffy Pools. And on the left there is one very remote farm, which must be quite cut off in winter. Now this is the sign from the Teffy Pools that also says no vehicles beyond this point. And this is the Teffy Pools. You'll find the scenery around here is pretty unique and outstanding. There's also a bothy again here, which you can stay in. And this is a very pretty bothy, as you can see. Now this drawing actually shows the two dams that were never built on the River Claerwen, because they were then replaced by the Claerwen instead. I won't try and pronounce the names because I'm pretty sure I'll get that wrong. But there they are. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe and ring the bell to support my channel so that I can keep producing more content.